nothing makes sense if you don't recognize yourself as a spirit. Nothing makes sense. Everything makes sense when you start to recognize yourself as spirit.
There goes a sight from my soul.
Welcome to the Inspired Evolution, and it is such a treat to be here today again, back with Sonia Choquette. Sonia, welcome back. How are you?
I'm delighted to be back, and I'm great.
Oh, it is so wonderful to have you back. Guys, this is Sonia's, she's returning to the Inspired Evolution. If you haven't already gathered, there is another episode. Please do go check it out. It is honestly one of my favorite conversations that I've had. And I know that sounds loaded because Sonia's here, so I might have to say that. But honestly, we covered so much ground on intuition and connection to self and spirit. It was one of the most incredible conversations, which obviously is reflected in the amount of times that it's been watched and viewed as well. It's literally covered so much ground and reached tens of thousands of people all over the world. It has been an absolute honor to have had that conversation, and it is an absolute treat to have you back. For those tuning into Sonia for the first time, I'll just quickly do the honors. You probably already know of her. But honestly, she's a globally celebrated dynamic spiritual teacher. The way we put it is she's a sixth sensory consultant. That's sixth sense being that intuitive sense. She's an enchanting storyteller. If you've ever seen her speak on stage, time literally dissolves. She's a transformational visionary guide. She's written, at last count, I think it was 28 books and in translating to 40 languages. But since then, that might have even evolved as well. The space is always evolving when Sonia's involved. So thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate you doing this with us.
Very excited to be back.
No. So look, we could start anywhere, and I, have the liberty of only having you here for a short time. So let's go there. I want to understand a little bit about what your awareness is in terms of the shifting landscape in the world at the moment. I know I'm going straight into it. In terms of the awakening of intuition becoming more and more of a global conversation. And this has become, and I'm asking from a particular angle, because I've started to recognize now since our last conversation, and you mentioned this in the podcast last time, but it didn't really, we didn't go all the way down because I don't think I was ready to hear it that way, but you languaged it the way that I'm starting to recognize it now, is that intuition is more of a, I'm not saying it's for females, even though, quick little tangent, I do now, I've started to say, women are working on a seventh sense while men are working on a sixth sense, because I feel like
fair.
You heard it, she said fair. I've really learned that my wife's intuition and just women, I think something about womb energy, there's some, I don't know what it is. Women are very, very connected, but I've digressed. Something about intuition, and the world is going through this patriarchal shift at the moment. It's going from this masculine to this feminine shift. And I've started to now recognize within myself that intellect is a very masculine trait, but intuition is a very feminine trait. And I've really started to notice the dance between the two within me, and how even making decisions influenced heavily by our last podcast doesn't necessarily always feel right, just stacking up all the facts and going, you know what, my intellect's reason goes yes. It feels much more organic to make intuitive decisions, but I'm also noticing that the world is feeling a lot more intuitive. People can't really explain why they don't resonate with certain people, but they just don't resonate and they stop following them. They're starting to be more consciously integrated into that. So to peel back from the individual, to zoom out a little bit and to go, what is your awareness about where the world is at the moment spiritually in terms of this patriarchal, maybe masculine, to this feminine shift, and what that means for the dance from intellect to intuition on a bigger scale collectively?
Well, I'd like to start by referring to Einstein, because he was the first one that recognized the proper relationship between the two. It's not a fight. It's not a competition between intellect and intuition. It's a partnership.
Mm.
But he studied it best when he said, our intuitive spirit is the sacred gift, and our rational mind, its faithful servant. When he spoke, he said, sadly, we've thrown away the gift and have become enslaved to the servant, that rational mind intellect. The exciting thing is now things are changing, that we are becoming less and less and less enslaved to the rational mind being the collectively agreed upon only legitimate way of knowing things, only legitimate way of perceiving things. Our rational mind, our intellect bases information, bases its decisions on what our physical senses will reflect, although to tell you the truth, we don't use them very well. You know, we hear, but we don't listen. We look, but we don't see. How many times has someone run around saying, "Where are my keys?" when they're in your hand? You know, we're just not present. So a great deal of what people call their intellect is really the input of others from the past. Teachers, authority figures, things you've learned at another point in time that are not relevant to right now. Intuition is the part of you that is present and is the part of you that transcends intellect. It's the part of your consciousness that is based in your heart and is based in your being in your body and based in feeling energy in the moment, communicating back and forth with you. So I think that where we get into trouble is language, masculine, feminine. You know, especially we need men to open up to their intuition. They need it for themselves. But that language suggests that they abandon themselves to integrate something unfamiliar. So I like to say head and heart. We have head intellectual head intelligence, and we have heart intelligence. We also have, I call it yin and yang. Yin being energy going out, looking out here. Yang is energy coming in, feeding me in the moment vibrationally. And that lopsided perception that we call patriarchal, and it is patriarchal, sort of there's been this 2,000 years of father knows best, you know, that somehow some masculine authority figure supersedes all personal authority and personal experience. And we can see where that's gotten us. I mean, our economies are collapsing, our planet's going up in smoke, our businesses are having massive hemorrhaging of talent because people are just not feeling any longer willing to abandon themselves to an external authority figure, because that external authority figure is failing to provide what was promised: security, safety, reassurance, financial security, validation. It's not delivering. That's why people are starting to say, wait a minute, I'm blindly following this. And the other thing, to not jump around too much, but a lot of that patriarchal, externally oriented intellect is based on science that's at minimum 50 years old. You know, old science, last century science. It's not current science, because current science validates that our hearts are intelligent organs and very perceptive. So are our guts, that our brain is not the most intelligent, most capable of our sensory perceptions. So I like to create metaphors because metaphors stick. I say our brain is AM radio. Our gut is FM radio, and our hearts are satellite. You know, they are global and energetic and expansive. And here's what's exciting. people are starting, the pendulum is swung, and we are starting to activate this heart-based, first for men, gut-based, because gut-based is protective. And men are instinctively enculturated to be protectors. So a man will be far more comfortable saying, my gut tells me this, my gut tells me that. And that's intuition, because that is information that is not coming from your external senses. It's not oriented in your eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch. You're feeling something coming in that's incongruent energetically with what makes you feel safe. Then we jump up to the heart. And the heart the gut is what I call red light intuition. It's protective. So if we start checking with our gut, and this is the key, you have to get out of your head. And by the way, the brain has no capacity to feel. You could actually do brain surgery on your brain and you don't need anesthesia because it has no feeling. It's an interesting piece of information.
That is interesting.
When you get into your body, this body, your heart and gut are the two main intuitive centers. The throat to some degree as well. But when you get into your body, it is a receptor that feels energy. And when we start breathing and feeling energy, paying attention and feeling it, we get information. If something is energetically incongruent with what's important to us, then we feel alerted. If it's grossly incongruent, we feel threatened and alarmed. We're like, I got to do this is not right. It's mildly incongruent. It's like, no, this isn't working for me. This doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't feel, and we use naturally that language because we're having an experience. And in your heart, we have also green light intuition. Gut is red light, protective, and the heart is green light, which is go for this. Like, you do that podcast. It's important. That's a green light intuition, because your logic certainly can't validate it. You don't know how it's going to go logically. You don't know. You have no way of knowing, except you can feel that you would energetically appeal to others who are seeking growth, learning, expansion. So I'm sure it was, if you reflect on it, it was an intuitive decision for you to actually initiate this podcast, initiate this portal of conversation.
Big time.
Only your intuition, you see, and that was so. What we're learning is that we have more, legitimately learning through science, that we have more than 5 senses. We have 5 external senses, and we have internal senses. The reason women are more inclined to be intuitive is because intuition is a feeling-based experience. Now, I'm not talking about an emotional experience. I'm talking about feeling, where a lot of men get stuck in their heads and they're actually taught not to feel. That's the hangover of the patriarchal culture of 2,000 years. Be warriors, buck up, don't cry, don't show vulnerability, don't show weakness, has really handicapped men. But they're starting to recognize this isn't serving me, and we're triggering one another because we're resonant beings. So if enough people start feeling something, it's going to automatically jumpstart it in others. Now, here's what's exciting, and I'll stop talking after this. There was a point in time in the dark ages where the whole world looked out on the sea and said, the earth is flat.
Mm.
And then there was a few people out there going, I don't know. It looks to me, I feel there's more. And they were initially considered stupid, pariahs, not religious. They just didn't go along with the general consensus and were punished and banished. But still, more came and said, no, I can't agree with this. And I don't care if I get punished. I'm telling you what I'm feeling. And so then enough people started doing it that we hit what's called a tipping point. And all of a sudden, there was enough people that the earth isn't flat. The earth is round. Where there was that tipping point is all of a sudden everybody agreed. And we went from the Dark Ages to the Renaissance, same time. It was like we went from this very limited linear point of view that was very dark to this expansive creative point of view. And what's exciting is we are at another tipping point
now.
And even conversations like we're having now are accelerating the tipping point. So within 3 years, it's going to be generally agreed globally. We have 6 senses at least. We are at that, even from when we last spoke to now, things have really shifted.
I know.
And this tipping point. That's what's so exciting is more and more and more people are spontaneously activating what they're hardwired to possess, which are these internal senses, gut and heart and throat, that feel energy, and it informs them quickly and not logically. It informs them like downloads. It's like, I can't explain it yet. I always like to say, it's not that you can't explain it. You can't explain it yet because your 5 senses have to catch up. They're not able to perceive what your heart and gut feel in the atmosphere, feel in the frequency. A satellite can see a whole lot more than somebody riding a bicycle, right?
Yeah.
So your satellite is communicating what's around the bend and down the corner and what you don't see physically in the moment. And that's what's happening with our intuition. It's waking up and we're getting these downloads, these broadcasts from our expanded sense centers. And too many of us are having them to deny it anymore.
It's true.
So I've just kind of set up the whole scaffolding, if you will, to see, well, this is how it works.
I love it.
That it's happening, and we can't approach it from our old point of view, which is, well, how do I know? And how can I be sure? It's like, because you're intuitive, you can be sure because this sense works just as accurately, if not more so, than your other senses. Your eyes may not be so sharp. Your ears might not hear that well. But your gut and your heart, if you pay attention, are pretty clear communicators.
Thank you.
That's a big download, I know. That's a lot
huge.
To take in.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's a lot to absorb.
To weave into that, one of the things that I've noticed specifically about, let's just tumble into the human experience, the decision making from the head and the heart, as you call it, I've noticed, and maybe my question is more along the lines of, do you think intuition is now flooding through for more and more people as a solution potentially to what's presenting? That's the big overarching question. But within there, the nuance of, I've noticed within my own experience that when I'm making decisions from the head, I wouldn't say that they're amoral, but I have noticed that they're much more clinical. And I've noticed that when I tune into heart and gut, sometimes they feel more moral, absolutely. And sometimes I don't even know that they're more moral. They just feel right. And I just, it's like, okay, that's where I'm being guided. And then I look back and it's like, that was potentially the more altruistic outcome.
Here's the thing. Your intellect
Mm.
is disconnected from others.
Mm.
That's what you call amoral. It's not, it doesn't see, it views the world as me against you.
Mhm.
Everything is other, everything is out there,
Mhm.
and I have to protect myself.
Mhm.
It's primarily a fear-based modality of perceiving the world. So you're always looking to manage to take care of yourself, manage threat, manage danger. Can you see that? So
Mhm.
everything is other, everything, every person. And to the point, and this is where you feel amoral, people start feeling like things.
Mm.
They're not, I'm not connected to their humanity. They're a thing that could potentially hurt me.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to get my logic, and but I am assessing from a point that everything, I'm not connected. When you get into your heart space and get into your gut, you begin to recognize, well, that's an illusion. We all are connected. All of humanity is connected. We are influencing one another, and other people are not necessarily my enemy. They're just doing the best they can. So some are more conscious than others, but we are affecting one another. So when I make my decisions, I am taking into consideration how energy is affecting me and how I am affecting things as well.
Mm.
Therefore, I feel empowered. I
Mhm.
have an influence too. It's not just guarding myself about what's coming at me. It's about what I'm initiating, what I'm creating, and how I'm matching up with vibrational support.
Mhm.
Like, how can I move ahead with the best connections
Mhm.
and not be alone and gain the energy and support of kindred spirits and like-minded others and people who share my value system and people who would be inclined to be loving or helpful. Then all of a sudden the world becomes a whole different landscape. It's not me against you. It starts part of why it will I think our intuition will heal the world problems is because when we begin to see it's just us
Mm.
and we're all in it together, and we need to collaborate to create an environment where we all can literally survive.
Mm.
We will start solving the problems that the left brain created. The exclusively left brain created things like nuclear bombs. I'm
Mm.
going to just blow up all these things that threaten me.
Mm.
I'm going to just exploit this planet that gives me exclusively what I want without seeing the impact,
Mm.
recognizing that wait a minute, the earth is a living thing. Other people are living things, and everybody is just trying to do their best. So we can't solve problems from the place that it created those problems.
Mhm.
We can't solve our global problems, our planetary problems, our humanitarian problems from the place that treats everything as other things that I have to conquer and potentially kill if they get in my way.
Mhm.
So that's why we're moving into this higher consciousness, because it changes our whole priorities, where it's like, wait a minute, I am connected to the earth. It's a living, breathing thing that I need. I can't keep killing it, or I
Mm.
can't keep attacking others because they're humans with families and heartbeats and kids and communities just like me. So I can't just keep polarizing. Now, that said, you're changing a pattern,
Mm.
but energetically, before you change a pattern, let me give you an example. This will help.
Mm.
If you take a crystal goblet
Mhm.
and you tap on it, and there was a woman, and she did a commercial. You can actually see it on YouTube, called Ella. Her name is Ella Fitzgerald. She was a famous singer, and they had this crystal goblet, and she sang a note, and the goblet shook a little bit.
Mm.
Then she sang a higher note and the goblet shook more.
Yeah.
Then she sang a higher note and the goblet shook so much that it shattered.
Whoa.
So what's happening here? So the first higher note, it's a higher vibration than what holds the glass together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's shaking. It's trying to hold together.
Mm-hmm.
It's contracting. Then the higher note, it shakes more. It's trying to hold together, contracting even more, resisting this higher note, this higher vibration. Till finally the vibration is so high, it can't resist. So when we look at the world now, we think, oh my God, what a mess. This is worse than I've ever seen it. It's that contraction trying to hold on before it breaks through. So it's really pre-breakthrough. And we keep the higher note and more people waking up saying, no, I don't agree with this. I'm not agreeing with what the news says. I'm not agreeing with what the people in power say. I'm having a different experience. There's enough that this will be a breakthrough. And you know what I think? I think we're going to see some tremendous literal breakthroughs in how the world is run in 2023. I think it's that close.
Wow.
And it's because of all of us waking up, using our intuition, and recognizing we are not islands. People are not things to destroy. The planet's not a thing to destroy, and that we can feel safe. We can be safe, trusting ourselves. We can be. That is information you were never given, especially men. Men were never given, you're safe to trust yourself, to listen to your heart, and to do what's right for you. You were given different information. Don't listen to your heart. Don't be weak. Follow me. Go blow everyone away. That's a sign of a man. And there's enough men now going, well, that certainly doesn't appeal. That's not proving me. That hasn't produced anything. So it's collapsing.
Yeah. And I can feel it. It's without demonizing an ism, but I can feel how much competitiveness is built into capitalism and how we're all feeling. I feel competition is dying. I can feel it all around me.
It is.
People are looking for win-wins. People are consistently like,
they're
what's
going
best
to
for me is best for you.
collaboration.
Yeah, it is. It's shifting, right?
It's shifting. We are observing it. We are past the point, thankfully, where we hope or we know or we think it has to change. We are now in the process of changing it. It's messy, super messy. But you can feel something in all of this mess is emerging. The old is collapsing, and I can't figure it out, but I can feel it. And that is what is exciting. So what we need to talk about, okay, this is the big picture.
Yeah.
I think what we need to talk about is, okay, Joe normal, well, what do I do? How do I wake up my intuition? You know, where can I participate, and what works for me? I know the old doesn't work, but I don't know quite how to
Stepping into the new.
My intuition. Yeah. So we need instructions. And that's what I've devoted myself to, very basic, simple instructions for every person to step into this expanding consciousness. Like, we can see the big picture, but what about me? And I think that's where we need to go.
Can you share with us some instructions for those people that need to step into it?
So yeah, so first of all, don't fight with your head. Recognize what Einstein said. It's your faithful servant. It's just not the boss, okay? It's just not the leader. So say, for example, you have a question and you're trying to find the answer. And I have a question for you. is there an area in your life where you have a question where we can actually work this process versus tell others how to do it? So I'm catching you off guard, but is there any
No, you're
area
good.
where you really wish, you really want your intuition to guide you and you're not quite clear yet?
Yes.
Can be very simple. It doesn't have to be
It's
your
actually,
whole life.
yeah, it's quite deep.
Do I
Yes.
change my apartment? Do I change up my podcast? Do I bring in a new babysitter? I mean, whatever. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I've got a friend who lost his partner, and I've been sitting with the mourning for quite some time, and a lot has opened through the mourning. But I'm also aware that, like any good tea bag, there's probably a time to sort of keep it in the water, but there's also a good time to take the tea bag out of the water. And I'm just not sure if I'm ready to move on personally, even though, it's more about my friend than it is about me, but I've been, holding some space, I guess. So, yeah, do I stay with the process or do I move on?
Perfect. This is perfect. So here's how and I would say this really is a process that works. So let's just let your servant speak. I call your head your barking dog. So let your barking dog bark. Your faithful servant. So what is we're just fill in the blank quickly and let's just go through this. My head says,
your friend still needs you through this time. Be there for him. Stay with wherever you need to be.
My head says,
your friend still needs you. Stay where you are. Keep going through it. It is what it is.
One more time, my head says,
stay with the current energy. Your friend still needs you. How's he going to get through this on his own? Just go with it.
Okay, perfect. Logic. Take a breath. And then just look around what's right in front of you. Just name one or two things right in front of you, because what this does is it brings you out of your head
Tripod.
and into your body. Right? What else?
Camera.
And what else? Look a little further.
Tree.
Okay, perfect. This brings you into your body, into the moment. Take a deep breath like this. Open your jaw and do this. Ah. Can you feel how you've just slid into your body with that? My heart says.
My heart says.
Put your eyes to me. Don't go up. You're going back to your head. Look out. Look out. My heart says, quickly.
My heart says the time will be soon to let this opportunity go.
My heart says.
Soon it'll be time to let this opportunity go.
And look around right in front of you. Don't go to your head. Don't close your eyes because you're going backwards. Stay right in front. Breathe and smile. Another ah. Keep your eyes open. Be present. And my heart says.
My heart says soon it'll be time to let this go.
Final question. Does that feel true?
Yes.
Okay. There's your process. Very simple. Let your head speak. Does it feel different than what your head said? Does what your head and your heart feel different?
Slightly, yeah. Yeah, my heart is opening and inviting me. Now I'm intellectualizing it.
Yeah, see, you go, and here's the thing. You go up, your eyes go up, you're going back upstairs, but you got to know, I call that a bad neighborhood. Don't go upstairs and shut the doors. Stay in your heart and look around. It's different, but it's not dangerous. It's different. Okay, check it out. My heart says, soon it's time to let go and do something different. Soon. Not immediately, soon.
Yeah.
Be present. It's very different. My head says, he needs me. I got to hang in there. I got to protect him. It's like, no, soon this will shift. And here's another Here's another technique that's very helpful. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I call this empty the garbage. And it's really good before you look for your intuition, empty the garbage that's blocking it. So quickly, I'm afraid of fill in the blank.
I'm afraid of
What?
letting someone down,
I'm afraid of
letting people I love suffer,
I'm afraid of
letting people down.
breathe. What's right in front of you? Ah. Breathe and smile. Ah. At the end of that sigh, if you smile, you literally can feel the curtains of your heart open. Ah. And my heart says,
Smile.
right. Now get in there, Amit. Get in there a little bit. Done. Get in there. My heart says,
It feels really tender, to be honest.
right. The
Yeah.
truth is, right. You've got this role. I've got to protect. I've got to, your head's got this identity that I got to be there and protect, whatever. What does your heart say? If you really go to your heart, are you really abandoning people? Are you really letting them down? Do they really not have the agency to manage their lives? And you can support that instead of being their protector. So I get the confusion that I'm presenting, but it's also an invitation to do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And we shut down because change is threatening to our head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to change. But are you really that committed? Are you really enjoying this fixed position? Are you really feeling like I'm there, I'm a good guy? Is it really working? See, that's where intuition is truth serum, but it's also creative solution. It gives you a new way. It doesn't cut you off. If anything, your head cuts you off. When you go into your heart, my heart says, maybe being in this role isn't the best way to serve the people I care about. Maybe I could just encourage them to listen to their own hearts. Maybe I could hold space and trust them to manage their lives. Maybe that's what they need. Do you see? It presents a whole constellation of options, not just black, white, right, wrong. But I understand with what I'm doing with you, and you're being very brave to be my guinea pig. I am creating a new paradigm for you to explore. And you have to practice and take your time with it. But don't shut it off because the world is moving in this direction. So I like to remind people when I invite this kind of new exploration, it's different, but it's not dangerous. It just threatens your ego. But your ego is not the boss anyway. It just threatens the part of you that you think you are. But the spirit in the heart of you is who you really are. So I appreciate it's a big shift, and your ego goes, oh my God, this is hard. This is weird. But you know what the truth is? It's not. It's easy. And it works. So you experiment. So those are the practical tools that I think a listener can take forward. But here's the key. Say it out loud. If you keep it in your head, if you keep it inside, you're in your head. And that is what I call the bad neighborhood. So I know I scramble people's eggs. I know I catch you off guard, but you're demonstrating very bravely with your audience the process, and people can see it's not like black, white, got it, nail it. That's not the way it works. It's like, whoa, wow, okay, this is new. Well, let me share what I'm feeling, and then I can try it on. Does it feel true? And you said unequivocally, very quickly, yes. And people do. If you can't say yes, it's because you're still in your ego. It's because your head is still faking out and trying to control. And that is so it's never trust others. What you're being invited to do is trust your authentic self. It's very exciting. You know, 2-3 rounds of this, it becomes very comfortable. So maybe the first time, the second time, the third time, it's like, whoa. But after that, it's like, let's go. It's like going on a ride in an amusement park. At first, like, oh my God, that's scary. But after a couple of times, like, this is fun. This is good. This is fun. So I want to give people these tools so that you really cannot just sit on the sidelines in the bleachers and watch. Get in the game. Get in the game. That game is called your life. Be curious. Be interested. Dive in. See what happens. And here's the final piece. You have a choice. You can follow your head or you can follow your heart. A lot of reason people don't want to mention what their heart says is they, oh God, now I have to do that. You don't. You really don't. You can go back to your head. It'll be difficult, but I really teach people you do have a choice. Give yourself, you can say, I feel what my heart says, but I choose not to listen versus I don't know.
And that's where the courage comes in.
It's a lot.
That's where the courage comes in.
Right. And you know, the word courage comes from the French word cœur, which is heart. Courage is living from the heart. That is the essence of that word. Isn't that fun?
I love it.
So yeah, I know. And here's the thing. When you bring your intuition and what you're experiencing is it quiets your mind. All of a sudden you can't think. But that's the goal. Because what you're doing instead is listening. You're listening to energy. You're listening. And honestly, finally, the greatest inventors in every field, Steven Spielberg, Steve Jobs, Zuckerman, the Google guy, Einstein, people doing breakthroughs in right now, they just came through with a brand new nuclear fission that could replace all the damaging energy fields that we have right now, are all coming to that from their intuition, and they say so. They're making no secret of it. Nobody's saying, my intellect taught me how to be such a genius. No one. No one in any field is saying, I followed my head, but they use their head to cooperate with their heart. So if their heart said, make a change, instead of saying, how can you be sure? And that's crazy. And who do you think you are? The head says, how can I help? I'm your servant. I'm here to help you. So you get the head and heart working together, but the heart leads. And right now what's happening is you've been trained, people have been trained to attack the heart, to attack your inner wisdom. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's instead use your head. It's not like I'm not getting rid of you. You got a new job. Your new job is to say yes and help me execute what my heart says. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel really congruent, really empowered, and your life's going to start working in an incredibly good way. It's a lot, right? But it's not. It's just changing the channel.
Sonia, what is the source of the intuition's intelligence? What is that?
Your spirit. It's your spirit. It is your expanded, non-local, divine self. Do you know that science does not have, they can put a man on Mars and they're looking at it, but they cannot explain why the heart beats. Your self is not this conglomeration of ideas in your head. You have a child. Would you say that child is only the ideas in his head? You see? Or would you say he's the universe?
There's so much abundance right there. Like even just the mystery of how he got here, like,
Exactly.
is
We
crazy.
can't define ourselves by what, there is a wonderful writer and mystic named Anthony de Mello, who is in India. And he said, when we brag about our brains, we're bragging about the size of our prison cells. So you see your child, that child comes in and you see, who are you? You are a miracle. You are miraculous. You are in your spirit. Your spirit is what you're experiencing. Well, that's you too, and me and everybody else. So when we say, well, what's guiding us? It's like, come on. That same essence that gave you life is with you and can be trusted. In fact, I wouldn't trust anything else.
That reminds me of a whole body of work that you dedicated yourself to, which is to ask your guides and to find your guides. Is intuition a portal into that work? How do you?
Right, because if you can see yourself as a non-localized being, like you are more than, the leap into guides is to first recognize I'm more than my body. I am more than my physical self. I have an energy self. I have an energy consciousness that is not physically bound. There's more to me. And if there's more to me, I enter a realm where there's more consciousness. There's other consciousness besides my own. There are conscious beings that are not physical, like my consciousness is not physical. Like when I sleep and I'm traveling and dreaming. And that is where we enter the world of spirit guides. Other forms of consciousness that meet us, help us, support us. But they don't meet your intellect, they meet your spirit. They support your spirit. Now, Einstein said he got his entire theory of relativity, which changed the face of physics, while he was daydreaming or playing the piano. He was just in his spirit. He wasn't in his intellect. He was just relaxing and playing piano and daydreaming, and bam. His spirit guides came and said, oh, you're in a good place to get some information. Now that your brain is quiet, we can put it in there. We can share it. And so that's how guides make sense. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense if you don't recognize yourself as a spirit. Nothing makes sense. Everything makes sense when you start to recognize yourself as spirit. And even science is starting to say, recognize yourself as spirit. You are a non-localized being. Your quantum physical body exists. So it's not like you're fighting science. You're stuck in the past century if you're not recognizing, I actually have an energy consciousness that transcends my physical body. That's your spirit.
What are some of the consequences of not identifying with spirit and trying to, well, not trying to, but I guess
hunkering down in your
ego? You're being stuck in that
well,
awareness.
A lot of consequences. First of all, you're fear-based. So the stress of your life is going to be very high because you're trying to control the outside world to stay safe. You can do it a number of ways. You can be passive and meek, or you can be aggressive and a bully, but you're kidding yourself. You can't really control the outside world. So that stress isolates you. You put on a fake self. Of course, you don't want anybody to know you've lost control. So you put on this false bravado. So now you've abandoned yourself, which means you're not able to have real relationships because what everybody's meeting is not your real self. It's this fake self, this posturing self. So then your inner self gets really lonely. And because it's not nourished and it's not connecting, it starts to get sick. It starts to feel empty. So let's drink some more. Let's get high, or or let's do drugs, or let's check out and numb out on my phone, or let's just be pissed all the time and let everybody know how angry I am. But it's you implode. Then your back aches, and then your head aches, and then you start developing diseases because you're in disconnected form with no real nourishment. Beautiful flower vase with no water. Started out okay, but because you're disconnected, you start to shrivel and die. You know, people like that, you can feel them. They're fake. They don't feel authentic. They don't feel available. You feel like you're hitting a brick wall. You have this outside veneer. Their eyes have no light. The jaws are fixed. They're very defensive. They're smiley but push things back. And underneath it, they're terrified, alone, angry, because that's their last hurrah of control, and sad. So that's pretty bad, right? And I'm not exaggerating. And that is 50% of the planet.
Wow.
That's 50% of the planet. You have no empathy. You have no sense of really caring about others because you're just in survival. You bully your families, you bully your people, you're not nice to your relationships, you get addicted, you try to cover the holes by shopping or doing drugs or drinking or talking or working. That's the acceptable social drug. But you're still drugged, you're still unavailable, and you suffer. So that's the consequence. And that's what the planet has been in and why they're leaving it, because people are getting tired of it.
A question that arises from there is I've heard you say before that the collective can only shift to the degree of the person that's
holding you back.
Yeah.
So that means you resonate with the company you keep. So if you're going to hang around with bullies and shut down intellectuals and fake people with value systems that don't reflect opening the heart, because we're pack animals, you know, we want to belong. So we will resonate with the dominant, even if we're making the choice to abandon ourselves. That's why we have to look at the company you keep and ask yourself, are these my people? It's why community all of a sudden becomes a very important concept. It's why I started a community called the Good Vibe Tribe, a global online community where it's like, look, I know you may not be surrounded by the people you need, but here we are, because it is an important element. That's a good question. We need mirroring as part of what makes us feel as part of human connection. So that's why people all of a sudden say, I'm such a fish out of water at my job. I just, because you're not mirrored, or you're just not with your people, and it never will get better. You have to change and find people who are what we call a vibrational match.
Yeah.
That's an important piece.
Sonia.
A lot, right? Fun, exciting. Wow. Consider it like an amusement park. You're being invited to come and explore.
And play and enjoy.
Not the jungle that's going to threaten you, but an amusement park that's going to bring out all kinds of excitement, and it's better than drugs. It works, and it's healthy and healing. What happens when you integrate your sixth sense back into your life is you heal. That means be whole. You're whole again.
I'm acutely aware of just how fortunate we are that, you mentioned the Good Vibes Tribe and just how important, I guess, these conversations can be. to
We
continue
are.
to keep
Yeah,
us
you're
railed.
doing a big service to even have the people listen to this and say, well, thank God I'm not crazy. This validates what I'm feeling. And even if the people immediately around me are not validating it, this is validating it. And that's why these conversations are so important.
I can't thank you enough for bringing your whole self, as always.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. It's my mission. You can tell I'm like an evangelist. I am on a mission to wake up the spirit, because I feel empowering others with, so it's not trust me, it's trust yourself. And you can, but it's not this self. It's this self.
Sonia,
so there you go.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much once again for just, episodes always feel lighter after you've been on. You know, it just seems clearer. It seems, as much as, there is, it just seems clearer. The path seems clearer and lighter.
Well, the point, I'd like to leave everybody with the message that you have an inner self that's very reliable and will take care of you. No matter what you've been told, it's not true. Your inner self is there, does work. It's not something you have to dig for. It's just a light you turn on with that.
Which is very profound, because that sense of safety is often what we look for externally and in the other.
Right. And you're not going to find it. They're crazy town. Got to come home. You find it in you. Okay. Got to go.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for your blessings again for this conversation here today, but also just the lifetime's work that you've put into informing this conversation, coming and blessing us again with this conversation. Wishing you all the best on behalf of the Inspired Evolution Tribe and audience, man. Oh, love you so much. Thank you.
Big hugs from London. Big hugs to everybody listening. All my love.
Thanks, Sonia. Really appreciate it. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave us a comment, and if you want to stay in tune for new episodes launching every Monday, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay inspired to evolve.